Hi everyone, Jason here from Off the Beaten Path. We're leaving Upper Jamieson Hut.
So did you decide you don't need your spotties?
No, the light bar that I have is more than plenty. It's actually too bright. Yeah, it's plenty. I took them out. Restricted, not that I've got overheated or anything, but it restricts a lot of airflow as well, and just don't need so many lights.
Yeah, fair enough.
What I want to get is little bonnet lights that go to a 45, tiny little, like, they're an LED, just to point on the side of the road a little bit, where if you do tight corners, you've got a little bit of a dark spot there. So I want to get some of those, but I'm not sure which brand to get.
So there you go, we almost lost my last working GoPro. I've only got the Hero 7 working still. The 8's dead.
Jason, what else are you going to lose in this trip? You've lost your tow hitch, found that, shoved it in my truck, and now your GoPro. Let's hope it all goes smoothly, shall we? Love you, buddy.
So yeah, as you just heard there, yeah, literally coming out of Jamieson Hut, got up onto Brox Road and realised my phone that I used to control the GoPro wasn't actually syncing with the camera, and then realised the reason that was happening is the camera was no longer mounted to the vehicle. It had fallen off and I hadn't noticed. Drove back down with Luca following back down to the hut. I couldn't see the camera anywhere from the car, and Luca was the one that had the patience to get out and walk it. I really didn't think we were going to find the camera. I was prepared to just write it off, and it was a couple of metres away from the road, but his eagle eyes spotted it, and as you heard, I had a tow hitch come out on this trip as well, which if you are a regular viewer of the channel, you would have seen my little Toyota tow hitch fix upgrade video, which allowed me to put one of those folding over pins in there. This trip was the reason for that video, because the pin that I had in there, the way the Toyota tow hitch is designed, it's really hard to get a standard pin in, and the pin that I was able to get in there sort of rattled loose, and that was the reason for that video this trip. Anyway, so look, we're pushing on, guys, heading southeast on Brox Road, just keeping left there to stay on Brox Road. That's low saddle road or low saddle track. On the right hand side there, we just avoided that. That heads south along the eastern edge of the Alpine National Park, down towards Mount Sunday is where that one heads. But yeah, we're continuing southeast towards Refrigerator Gap Track. So our plan here was to take Refrigerator Gap Track through Blufflink Road, and yeah, as you can see, Luca's coming this way. I was navigating from in front without knowing where we're going, so yeah, completely missed this turn off. You can see it's basically a 180 there if you're heading southeast as we were on Brox Road. So yeah, completely missed it. Luca said it was coming up, but I was sort of looking for it. Yeah, missed it. And yeah, so it's always fun getting out and taking on tracks that you've never been on before. This is an area I think Luca's been to a time or two before. Certainly a first time for me. Refrigerator Gap Track did give me the impression of a track that isn't all that regularly driven. Fairly scenic sort of track. The thing was, as you're about to see, today we were not going to be able to do the whole track. So some pretty decent sized tree ferns there. And yeah, came around the corner and this was here. So as you can see on the screen, just for information, as usual I'm a ways behind with editing and posting. This was filmed back in March 2024. I'm sure Parks or somebody's been through by now and cleared this. It was certainly beyond the scope of the chainsaws we had with us. You know, as Luca's walking up to it there, you get a little bit of a sense of the scale of that tree. It was very much a case of, yeah, nah.
Turn around job, all right.
So yeah, turning around on these tight tracks is always fun. Luca was down in the corner, he had a bit more room to work with, but I just sort of reversed until I found a spot here where I thought, you know what, I had a little bit of room and proceeded to do a 300 point turn. And not quite a 300 point turn. Now the footage of me doing this turn is sped up. I didn't actually drive this fast, it's just I didn't think you needed to you know, watch this in real time. As you can see, there's still a couple of pauses at each end as I adjust the steering wheel. This is actually 200%, so twice the speed that I actually did it at. And yeah, 300 point turn might be an exaggeration, but certainly a number of turns there in order to get the vehicle turned around. Just making a little bit of progress each time. And as you can see here, we're almost around. Luca's down there at the corner. He's already pointing in the opposite direction. So it just goes to show, even when you think there's really not any room, you can find some room and get yourself turned around. Now, I could have probably reversed all the way back to this corner and had a little bit more space to work with, but I'm not that good at reversing. It was comfortable. I could get the car turned around, albeit kind of slowly. So change of plans, almost guaranteed to happen when you venture into the high country. So we had planned to do the loop up past Bluff Hut and then come back down south. So instead we've just decided to continue southeast on Brox Road towards Nobs Track. So the rest of this is still a pretty easy run, although Brox Road's not quite the two-wheel drive main road that it was earlier on. Still very definitely though, pretty easy driving. And just keep a lookout here. You'll see the access there on the left down to a riverside campground. There's a few camp spots along the river here, worth keeping an eye out for. And yeah, we've just pulled onto Nobs Track, so keeping right. Brox Road continued up to the left, and I just missed the very start of this. A little bit overgrown. Again, this one didn't seem like it gets all that much traffic. It does free up a little bit though once you get past that initial section. So Nobs Track is about 10 kilometres before we get to the Mount McDonald Track. Again, one of those tracks that you've got to be prepared to not worry too much about getting some pinstripes on your paintwork because it's pretty much unavoidable. And just keep right here to stay on Nobs Track. that left-hand track was just a little dead-end track. And yeah, good steady little climb here, as you can see. A little bit rutted from people no doubt driving it when it's a bit wetter and softer than what it is today. Certainly the conditions we're driving it, it's not a difficult or slippery drive by any stretch of the imagination. But like a lot of tracks, very different in the wet. See that rise we just came over there was a little bit chewed up. Just a nice steady climb along here. The camera does tend to struggle a little bit when you've got this light coming through the trees, and the track is variably in shadow and full sun. It really struggles to get the light settings correct. You end up with a fairly overexposed sort of look. Another sort of a rocky climb here. And look, I don't know if it's going to be apparent to you guys, but if you watch the 76 now with the kenders on this sort of terrain, it's a lot more stable than what it was with the Supercats, the highway terrains. Still would have driven this no problem with the Supercats, but the vehicle used to move a lot, trying to find traction, and that was one of the things I found with the kenders straight away. Having a proper off-road tyre, just much more stable on these sort of gravelly sort of hills, with much better traction straight off the bat. So that was good to find. Another little hairpin as we continue our climb here. Eating a little bit of dust there, sitting in behind me. Not uncommon at all in the high country, these sort of switchbacks as you work your way up the side of the hill. Before turning again and climbing up. There was some nice views from this track. Not always apparent from the front mounted camera. Just generally making pretty steady progress here. Nothing here was particularly difficult. These tracks were all rated medium, and I think in dry conditions and good weather like we're driving them today, that's fair and reasonable. Decent tyres and proper transfer case four-wheel drive, you're not going to get into any trouble on these tracks. As long as you can dodge the fallen trees here and there. footage here from Luca from behind.
Still on Nobs Track. Beautiful little track. Love it, love it.
And I have to agree, great little drive. Nice to find some of these gems that other people know about. And again, on this climb, might be hard for you guys to see, but the 76 is definitely behaving itself a lot better with these tyres compared to the highway terrain Supercats that I was running. Must be a spring up here because I don't know how else that water got there. And as is often the case when you get to the tops of hills, a little bit of an open area here, so we did pull up, stretch our legs and have a bit of a morning coffee break. But we're back on the road before not too long now. If Dan had been on this trip, you would have had some footage of our coffee break there. Something I need to get a little bit better at doing is just, you know, adding in some footage that tells the story about some of the stops and that sort of thing. So I'm working on that, guys. But from here, yeah, continuing on Nobs Track, heading towards the Mount McDonald Track, which is going to take us south. And as I said in the previous video, you know, this is a part of the high country that I really just haven't been to. Been across the top part of this, obviously to Bluff Hut, Lovick's Hut, and through the King Billy track, but never come south down here in this area, sort of south of Mount Buller, very much at all. It was quite interesting. This track sort of turned into a bit of a ridgeline drive. As you can see, we're still climbing here. A lot of fallen timber around. Now, somewhere along here we turned off Nobs Track onto Mount McDonald. I didn't, unusually, I didn't actually capture that on camera, so I'm not sure whether this is still Nobs Track or we're on the Mount McDonald Track right now. Because yeah, I did miss capturing that. But yeah, just at some point we got to the end of Nobs Track and we kept left on Mount McDonald Track. The Son of a Bitch Track is the other option when you get to the end of Nobs Track. Yeah, just continuing to make pretty good time along these tracks. Quite a nice view across the valley there as we come around the corner. We are up at a reasonable sort of altitude coming through here. Probably just around sort of the 1100 to 1200 metre mark. And yeah, look, as we progress along the Mount McDonald Track, we do start coming down in altitude just a little. See there, certainly going to keep an eye out for fallen trees like that one that we just passed there that came through right at sort of windscreen height. So one feature of the Mount McDonald Track is that it does come down a little bit in altitude into a little bit of a valley between the hills, and we do start getting a few little river crossings coming in which makes this quite a nice little drive. This track, Mount McDonald Track, is not seasonally closed, but Nobs Track is. So you could do a loop up through here, coming in from the south via Bull Plain Road or some of the VIC Track. If you wanted to come into this area during seasonal track closures, you can do a loop in from the south and back out. But Nobs Track is seasonally closed, so you wouldn't be able to connect through to Rocks Road just at that time. But once those closures are over, which is typically the end of October, and yeah, we did have to run into something eventually that was on the track because we had seen a lot of fallen timber. Fortunately, this one wasn't too big and it was pretty short work, and it has, as you can see on the screen there, if Dan had been on this trip, you would have had footage of that. But we sort of got out and dealt with it fairly quickly before I thought about leaving the camera on, or maybe I thought the GoPro on the car was still running and it wasn't. Either way, no footage of us cutting that tree. And when I say us, I'm pretty sure it was Luca. Yeah, that one was nothing like the fall that we saw on Refrigerator Gap Track, so very manageable, that one. Still crawling our way along here quite nicely. Generally making good time, just avoiding the odd obstacle here and there. It's always the way, isn't it? So, you know, 90% of the track can be a nice, easy drive like this. It just takes one or two sort of difficult obstacles that make the whole track sort of a difficult drive and take your time. And we do have a couple of more difficult obstacles coming up. This is not one of them. A little crossing of a little stream there. See just to the left of the track there is where the stream is running, and we did cross that a few more times. And as I said, at this time of year there wasn't a lot of water flowing in that. It could vary markedly in winter. Again, just from the condition of this track, it was one that I felt doesn't necessarily get a lot of traffic, which makes sense. It is a little bit out of the way. And yeah, just coming to one of those little crossings now. So as you can see, not very deep at all. Certainly while we're crossing it, barely enough to get your tyres wet. Nice scenic little crossing though. And there's plenty more of those to come. Approaching another one here, I think. Yes. And it's almost as deep as the last one. So yeah, look, in winter there could be a bit of water flowing across here. I really don't know. Be interesting to come through sometime at that time of year. But yeah, look, as you can see there, barely deep enough to sort of
Track.
work its way up the sidewall. So yeah, Luca just confirming there we're on
That one I reckon barely ever got the sidewalls wet.
No, she's a small stream. I dare say in the winter time a different story.
Yeah, definitely, could be, yeah.
So yeah, not too long before we're crossing again. This one even a lot shorter than the other, a little bit steeper exit. Nothing difficult though. This I think could be one of the little tributaries that actually feeds that main stream. So yeah, look, most of the way along here was just a pretty scenic drive through the bush with lots of tree ferns and yeah, never too far from a nice little stream. And you certainly, at this time of year, not going to need a snorkel.
Definitely been softer at other times through here, that's for sure.
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
So just referring there to those ruts you can see.
Rock garden time.
Jesus, look at the end of it.
So this is one of the obstacles that I mentioned was coming up. It was a little bit of a surprise. Probably not apparent from the camera footage just yet, but it was super rocky. And again, the camera's flaring out a little bit, but there's big erosion ditch on the left-hand side of the track, and particularly further down, very, very rocky. Lots of rocks to sort of navigate around. So yeah, I think those rocks on the left have been sort of placed there to try and stop erosion on the track. So this section wasn't too bad because it's really just about avoiding that big erosion gully. But then we got to this tail end section here, which was decidedly
Yeah, it looks like
rocky.
those rocks have been put in there to try and stop erosion, eh?
Yeah, I'm just trying to work out where the track is. Is that where the rocks are or to the left?
Yeah, I think it's where the rocks are, mate.
So that's up ahead here, which you can't see from Luca's car because my car's blocking the view. So yeah, this was the very rocky section right at the end. As I said, this camera footage from the GoPro unfortunately flares out on the rocks because they're a white sort of rock. Without traction control, and without traction control or a locker,
then slow down.
Just trying to crawl this but not getting the traction because I definitely didn't want to drive this too fast. And there was a fairly easy line sort of around the outside, but always handy to have a spotter. And yeah, once you're through this sort of section, The rest of it is pretty easy, but pretty rocky through there. And yeah, leads us on to another little stream crossing. So Luca left his camera in his car running, so you can see here at the start where I was just trying to nudge up over, you can see that back right wheel just not getting any traction, and all the drive going to that back right wheel where there was just no weight actually on it. So just needed a little bit of a nudge to get up and over. You can see the size of those rocks on the left hand side there, so I was just a little bit worried about leaning into them and getting some potential panel damage. But yeah, sort of sticking to the right hand side, there's a definite path through there. They definitely have the look of rocks that have been placed there to avoid.
So isn't this a nice bit of fun? Tyre up on that rock there. Nicely done. Straight down the road.
How was it a bit of fun?
No, he's not wrong, it was a good bit of fun. So not a super difficult obstacle, but definitely one you want to take your time on.
Still on McDonald Track.
Definitely something you could get some panel damage on if you weren't careful.
This looks interesting. Vehicle of some sort dumped up ahead by the look of it.
Wow.
Never a dull day on the tracks. When you consider where we are,
it doesn't even look like a four-wheel drive.
No, I don't think it is. Pretty sure it's not. It's a Corolla or something.
you gotta wonder how it even got here.
How the hell's that got here? You can't park.
In case you weren't sure, there's a tag on it that says danger, do not operate.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be going anywhere, but he can't park there.
It's a little Peugeot 307. Bloody hell. How the hell did that get in here and why is it here?
I don't know. Who knows? Maybe, you know, a couple of young clowns stole it and went for a joyride, but how the hell do they get home from here?
Yeah, no, you do have to wonder. Yeah, we did see police tape on there and the sign on there saying do not operate seemed to be sort of an official sticker. So we're pretty sure that police and the authorities were aware that the vehicle was there and that some sort of steps were going to be taken to remove it in due course. Now we're continuing on here, the last little bit of the Mount McDonald Track, and from here our next track we'll be turning on to is the Grimme Creek Track. Now this particular video I'm going to end there at the start of the Grimme Creek Track just to keep it to a reasonable sort of length. But it certainly was been an interesting drive coming down from Upper Jamieson Hut through Brox Road Nobs Track, and then down the Mount McDonald Track. Great little drive. Definitely recommend coming through this way if you've got the time. It's not overly difficult, but does have some nice little obstacles that are a good bit of fun to drive. And yeah, it's very scenic as well. And it has the feel of part of the high country that's just not that well travelled. Another little crossing there, that's a fairly steep sort of entrance and exit. Access down there to, I think, a campground, and also the tail end of some of the VIC track, I think, or it loops back up with it. So yeah, camping left there, and from here it's about 3 kilometres, and we join up there with Bull Plain Road and the Grimme Creek Track, which is where we're going to end the video today. And again, you can see this section is pretty easy driving, really good condition, and yeah, we've reached that turnoff onto Grimme Creek Track. You can see here it's basically a 180. So look, I hope you're enjoying this trip video, guys. As always, like the video if you've liked it, leave a comment down below. I do read all the comments, and if you haven't already, please think about subscribing. It really helps us out, and we do appreciate each and every one of our subscribers. So thanks everybody, and I will see you in the next video.